Hey guys, I've got S100 Paste Wax here. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little review and also put it through the water test. So if you've been on the detailing forums, chances are you've heard of S100 Paste Wax before. This specific wax has been highly regarded as a great wax to buy for the price. Here in the United States, this is around $17 for the 6.2 ounces. And you're going to find S100 at any of the Harley-Davidson dealerships around the country. So these products are specifically marketed towards the motorcycle industry. The parent company that makes S100 products is P21S, and they have a separate line of products, their P21S line, that they market specifically towards the automotive industry. And I'll talk more about P21S versus S100 further along in the video, but getting to S100 Paste Wax here, this is a type of wax where you can wipe it straight on the paint and then wipe it straight off. You don't have to wait for it to haze over. And you can also use it on trim. It's not going to stain it white. It goes on nice and clear. And it's also not going to leave you with any sort of powdery residue when you're removing it from the paint. And it's always a good idea to make sure your paint's prepped before applying any sort of wax or sealant on top of it. For this test, I went ahead and applied S100 to the entire test section, so both the left and the right side have S100 on there. And for my test, I've been prepping my paint using Meguiar's M205 finishing polish. It just removes all the old wax residue and all the old bonded sealants to the paint. So if I'm testing out new products, I'm always going to have that nice clean canvas to be able to put new products on top of the clear coat so that they'll bond well to the paint. And for my water test, what I want to do is I want to get a baseline result to figure out how well the water is beading off of the paint. When there's nothing applied over top of the wax, I want to see how it's behaving in the short term, and then use these results to sort of gauge how the wax degrades over time. And you can see in the short term here, this wax is a very impressive beading type of wax in the short term. If you look at the description of the wax on the side of the jar, it mentions that they have a combination of Carnauba and beeswax in there. And a lot of guys mention that the beeswax is what really helps boost the water beading in the short term. Now, talking about the application of the wax, I mean, this is really a great paste wax to work with when you're applying it to the paint and when you're removing it. It spreads nice and easily across the paint, and a little bit of product goes a long way. And on this car, I'll probably do about half the hood and then go ahead and start removing it from that section on the paint. You don't have to wait for anything to dry or haze over. As soon as you put it down on the paint, you can go ahead and buff it straight off, and it's going to work fine. And a lot of guys really like, using paste waxes. They like doing everything by hand. And I have to say, using a paste wax for me, I really want something that's going to be super easy to apply and remove. I think S100 definitely is a great paste wax for that purpose. And if you're someone that uses a dual action polisher to apply your wax or sealants, you can take the entire cylinder of wax out of the jar of S100 and spread it directly onto the face of your polishing pad or your wax pad. So I'll go ahead and get the soap out now. We're going to test to see how S100 holds up after washing with soap and rinsing it down. Alright, so this is just a simplified durability test. We're going to see if we can see any changes in the water behavior after using soap down on the car. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and talk about P21S versus S100 products. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, P21S is the parent company that develops all of the S100 products. And if you take a look at all of the products that they offer between the P21S line and the S100 line, you can see that the packaging is almost completely identical. And the general consensus seems to be that most people cannot tell the difference between the P21S line and the S100 line, except for the fact that they have different names, but also different pricings. And if you look at the P21S Concours Paste Wax, as their Concours Carnauba Wax, it's priced at around $38 as opposed to the S100 Carnauba Wax, which is priced at $17. But both of them appear to have the same exact sort of smell and textures and application directions, and the advertising of the Carnauba wax mixed in with the beeswax. So it's very possible that they are the same exact sort of ingredients, the same exact wax. You're just getting S100 for a lot lower price because it's marketed more towards that motorcycle industry. Now, I've also heard reports that the color between the two of them, the color tint of the wax, is slightly different. But again, a lot of the guys who have used both of them side by side have not been able to tell the difference in how the wax makes the paint look. And so this is why S100 is really regarded as a product that is great for its price point, because P21S Concours wax really sold well at the $38 range. And when you bring out a product like S100 that is giving you almost identical performance, it makes it a lot more attractive at the $17 that they're marketing it for. So it does look like we lost a little bit of performance after using soap down on the car and rinsing it. This is one of those waxes where you want to start thinking about reapplying it after, in between that 1 to 2 month time period. As you can see here, you can see the color of the wax. It's really a harder sort of paste wax, but if you run your finger across the top of the wax here, you can really sort of liquefy it a little bit more to make it go easier onto the pad so that it spreads easily across the paint. So I really enjoy using S100 Paste Wax. If you're the type of guy that uses Gold Class a lot from Meguiar's and you're looking to try something a little bit different that you can also find over the counter, at the Harley Davidson shop, go ahead and check out S100 and see how you like it. I want to try and get my hands on the P21S Concours wax to try and compare the two to see if they are identical or not. I've used the P21S 100% Carnauba wax, which is a more expensive paste wax from P21S that's separate from their Concours. Now this S100 does not smell nearly as nice as that 100%, but it's still a great wax to work with. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely stay tuned for more reviews and water tests.